Thank you very much for meeting with me today. Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Peter Guernsey. I am the assistant electrician at Come From Away in New York City.
And can you tell me a bit about your job?
I run the follow spot. I call to the 2 local follow spots, cues that are necessary, so we do them all at once. I work with the head electrician in maintaining the show and keeping things as they were set here when all the production people walked away. That's our goal, is to keep it looking the same every night for every show.
And what are your main responsibilities?
My main responsibilities are keeping the follow spot lighting cues as they were designed by the designer and making sure that our show looks the same every night. So keeping up with changes that may happen in blocking on the stage by the actors, and changes as the show runs, everything morphs a little bit. So I guess I'm responsible for making sure that the integrity of the show stays as it was designed.
And can you please elaborate on follow spot? What equipment do you use?
We use a Lyceum 1290. It's a 2,000 watt xenon bulb. They have been around for about 20 years. Maybe is it 30? No, 20. Yeah, about 20. They're one of the standards on Broadway. This is the smallest version of it. They go up to, well, standardly a 3K and now 4.5 and 5,000 watts. So we have 3 of them here. They're run by 2 local members, Local 1 members, and myself in the middle. It's a very busy show. We don't have much time to talk or fool around or anything. It's very much set, and we work pretty much the entire 102 minutes.
And how many cues?
I counted them the other day because I was training somebody, and my lamp alone, just one of the 3, has 133 pickups in the 102 minutes. So with every pickup, which is turning on the light, you must have a turn off the light, and then there are some maneuvers in between, either making the light bigger or smaller or darker or lighter, all of the time following somebody around. So arguably 266 cues in 101 minutes, 102 minutes.
Oh, that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's the most I've ever done. It's the busiest show I've done in my 30-some-odd years on Broadway.
And what kind of training do you need in order to operate this?
I have no formal training at all. Most of my talent is experience. There's a certain knack to it. Some people have it, some people don't. There are natural follow spot operators, and then people who can operate a follow spot, and that's 2 different sort of things. I don't know. I started when I was very young, and just picked it up and stayed with it, and I like doing it. It's one of the only things left in professional theater that is actually done with someone's hands instead of pushing a button. So that's the part I like about it.
So how old were you when you just started?
I've been around theater since I was a little kid. My mother was a stage manager in a small theater group outside of Boston in a town called Braintree, and I was hanging around there from the time I was about 6. I did my first show when I was 11, pushing scenery for a production of Hello, Dolly, and they decided that I was good young blood, and the older fellows in the group took me under their wings and started teaching me things. This was not a commercial venue. This was a community theater group, so it was a hobby for all the people involved, for the most of the people involved. But there were engineers from General Dynamics, and there were other engineers. The one guy was an electrical engineer, so there was a lot of knowledge that wasn't necessarily theater, but pertained to what we were doing. So I just paid attention and listened to them, and they were perfectly happy to have somebody else around who would help with the heavy lifting, as these guys were getting sort of, well, I guess they're getting to be what my age is now at the time. So I did that, and really enjoyed it, and stuck with it. And when I got older, I did some stuff in high school, and then I went to college. And that didn't work out so well, so I went to work for a small lighting rental shop in Needham, Massachusetts, and started out there building dimmers, electronic dimmers, and then moved into their rental shop. And there's an old unit that's not used much called a Super Trooper, and that is a carbon arc machine, which means that there are literally two nodes, and they arc between them, and that creates the light that is projected on the screen. And they're very easy to mess up if you don't know what's going on. So this particular shop did not send out any of these lights without an operator going with them. So I got to do an awful lot of small rock and roll, all kinds of different things from them. And I was there for a couple of years, 2.5 years or so. And then I decided I was going to move to New York, so I moved to New York in December of '79, and went pretty much right to work in a little off Broadway house called Ensemble Studio Theatre on 52nd Street and 11th Avenue. And I worked there for almost 2 years, off and on. I worked at Production Arts. Then I started doing off-Broadway. And 1985 or 6, somewhere in there, I took the apprentice exam for local #1 in New York and passed it, and did an apprenticeship in a TV at ABC Television in New York in their lighting supply shop. And I had been working off Broadway and on Broadway off and on for years, and then I just started working here, there, and everywhere as much as I could. And now I'm reaching the end, and I am 4 years away from going to sit in my backyard in Massachusetts.
Is it an official retirement age, or?
No, most retirement age is based on when your retirement becomes available. So we can't draw on our retirement, on our stuff until 65 and get the full amount. You can get out it if you have 30 years or 20 years. There's a whole bunch of graduated things that you can get out, but if you go early, you get less and less the earlier you go. So I'm sticking around for everything.
Makes sense.
So at 65 I can be done, and my wife and I have a little house in Massachusetts by the water, and I'm ready to go sit in the backyard and probably do something else, but we'll see. For now, I think I will hopefully just go out the door from this show. I'm not sure I'm ready to do anything else after being involved with the production of Come From Away. It's a pretty unique experience here, and I'm not sure I could go back and do regular theater again.
And what's the difference between this experience and the rest of theater?
Well, for one thing, the story is amazing. it's, I mean, I've been doing it for close to, it'll be 3 years in October. And I still enjoy coming to work every night and watching this show. It's brilliantly written. The music is wonderful. It's just, it's a real, true gift. And then, you know, things like the producers are amazing people. And they know everybody in this building. And just from the highest person to the you know, to the littlest job in the theater, everybody is part of this production. And that's not necessary. I've worked shows, many shows, where I didn't even know who the producer was by sight. I know by name, but I wouldn't know them if I fell over them. So this is a very unique situation, I think. Years ago, in the mid-90s, I did the production of Titanic on Broadway, and that cast and feeling in the building was close to this. We were very tight cast and crew, and everybody sort of intermingled many times. You know, the crew's over there and the cast is over there, and there's not a lot of interaction between the two. And those two productions, particularly for me, were very different, and both stand out in my career. That I will never forget those. They were great. And this is, it's hard to even talk about without getting a little choked up.
And did you get to go to Gendar?
I did. I was one of the few. I wasn't thrilled about it when we were told, because we were right in the middle of the load-in in Toronto, and we were told that, you know, some of us were going. The spotlights, the follow spots, play an integral role in the lighting of this show. There's not a lot of light from the front in the design of the show. It's mostly down light and side light, and there's not a great deal out here. There's very few lighting instruments. So when people are talking or singing or interacting, we're lighting their faces. And while it's not unique, to be this quick, this show is very tight. It's words, it's dialogue, it's discussion.